Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another YouTube live stream of USA Political. This is your lucky day. Your lucky day, because you are getting in on the ground level of something that is going to be huge. It's gonna be huge. How huge? I don't know. But one day you'll be able to say, I remember in the year 2021 when Tim started doing those USA Political. You're going to be like, I was there. I was there from the start. It was pretty awesome. So here you are, right on the ground level. Today, we're going to land right here. We're going to land with Rand Paul. But that's kind of a long video. It's like a 9-minute video. So before we get there, going to go over some stuff. USA Political. This is the YouTube channel. This is where we're starting. I'll be monitoring comments today. Got a few the other day, but let's what I do here is let's give you the date. Today is January 30th, 2021. I'm Tim. I'm the leader of this ship that we are going to sail today. What we do is we go over some political thought. And I've been very political on my YouTube channel. On this YouTube channel, because that's what we're about. But on my Facebook page, I have been posting a lot of political stuff there. So what I do is I review that. It's been rather popular for all the stuff that I've been doing on Facebook. This post we talked about last time. I'm sharing it because it is hot. And I actually realized I did a podcast about this many years ago. Anyway, 979 shares. This is the story of Craig Telfer. In 2016, he was ranked 200th. In 2017, he was ranked 390th. That's in men's track. In the year 2018, he transitioned to be a female. And then in 2019, CC Telfer is the national championship. I think the story that when we did it as a podcast, I don't think Telfer had won the ladies national championship. Anyway, kudos to him. Good strategy. This comment here will get you kicked off Twitter. Actually, no. This didn't get me kicked off Twitter. Something else did. I posted a picture of this person on Twitter with hashtag dude looks like a lady, and that got me off Twitter. But I posted this. You must accept the science. You must. Ladies and gentlemen, you must accept the science. Think about it. See, this is the watered down version of what got kicked me off Twitter. So I reposted this on Twitter. And this, if you don't know who this is Dr. Levine. This person goes by Dr. Rachel Levine. I like to refer to this person as doctor because that is not neither he or she, so I can't technically get in trouble. But the good doctor was in my state as one of the top health officials appointed by Governor Wolf, and now the good doctor has been added to the Biden administration. I'm not sure what the doctor, the assistant health guru, I don't know. But I saw another meme that I probably can't share here, but the idea is that Biden has chosen Dr. Levine to show diversity and inclusiveness of everybody, including people who have transitioned, right? But in reality, all they've done is wired. They've like the bad thing was always that everything was a white guy. White guys rule the world, right? And in the attempt of trying to elect or appoint someone of diversity, they have actually appointed another white dude. Sorry, I couldn't help it. And I think the person that Dr. Levine has taken the place of was a black man. Think about that. Funny how that works. I posted this, and this is very popular. Let me see. Can I move that? Let me see here. Yeah, I can move that down. Number of executive orders first week in office. Bill Clinton, 0. George Bush, 0. Obama, 5. Trump, 4. Biden, 32. Oh my. But didn't Biden say, there's the quote there, didn't Biden say you can't legislate by executive order unless you're a dictator? So the hardest thing for politicians is to be consistent. And that is a failure to be consistent. Biden, you would think, what would he say? We're in desperate times. We're in desperate times. We've been blame it on Trump is what he could do. And probably he would do if he was called out on this. Well, I have to do this because I have to overturn the wickedness of Trump. I have to overturn Trump's policies. Or Trump left our country in such a bad situation. We're in a state of emergency here. So I must use executive orders in this time of emergency. Could be that as well. But guess what? The fact checkers came in and said, wait a minute, what you posted on Facebook has been checked by independent fact checkers. The clip of Biden using the term dictator to describe executive orders lacks content. But lacks content. No kidding. It's a quote. It's a single quote. Of course it lacks content. We assume the content when we quote people. We quote just one sentence. About this notice, the same information was checked in another post by fact checkers. There may be small differences. Independent fact checkers say this information is missing context and could mislead people. I can't believe they fact checked that. I also posted this on Facebook. And I saw this a year ago. I posted this a year ago. A generation in crisis. Impeach Trump before we all end up with jobs. Kids today, they don't. Boy, they used to say it in my generation. We didn't know how to work. I learned to know how to work because I wanted stuff. That's my work ethic. I wanted food. My parents didn't give me money. So, and I wasn't going to live on welfare. I wanted food. I wanted things. I wanted to have a life. So that was my motivation. Not so much today. Impeach Trump before we all end up with jobs. And I reposted this because this was posted a year ago by me, and then it came up as a memory. But this is what I said when I reposted it. I said, wow, 1 year ago. Note, today Biden made an executive order reversing Trump's order that those who can work must work in order to qualify for Medicare. Why would Biden reverse that? I mean, that totally makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, if you can work, work, right? But Biden says no. Let's not restrict the free flow of help to those who are lazy. Pretty frustrating. I also posted this. Newt Truth. Newt Gingrich. I used to think that he would make a fantastic president. I always thought he would be. Post your comments if you want to. I'm looking right at him. And there aren't any comments yet. Anyway, I used to think Newt would be one of the best candidates for president. Newt says, any Senate censure motion for President Trump should be amended to include the vicious, incendiary statements of Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, and others. Republicans need to quit being defensive. The first shots in the incitement wars were fired at President Trump, not by him. A lot of what Trump did, he was responding to. Trump's not a politician. Trump lacked political correctness in every way. So if somebody gets up in his face and talks trash to him, he gave trash back. It wasn't very Christian, would say my Christian friends and followers and listeners. But Trump, I don't believe is a Christian. Remember all the attacks on President Trump. I'm gonna find. I think I did find a clip of. I need to play that for you guys maybe next time. Of all the activists and celebrities calling for violence against Trump. Newt Gingrich. The first shots in the incitement wars were fired at Trump, for sure. For sure. No doubt about that. And this overreaction of incitement is just a hatred and bias against Trump. I posted this. Todd Stearns. He said, we had the most pro-life president in American history, but never Trumpers, evangelicals like the ERLC, didn't like his tweets. We had the most pro-life president in American history, but the never Trumper evangelicals didn't like his tweets. How are you guys feeling now? How are you feeling now? Not that you would watch my show. We had we did, and look what's happening now. Was it worth it? I posted this. This is a minute long. Let's watch it.
9 p.m. in our nation's capital, and that probably means that Joe Biden is likely fast asleep. It's been an exhausting few days for Joe. He signed a record 40 executive orders and actions into, quote, law after just 9 days in office. In other words, he has tripled the amount of executive orders signed by Trump, Obama, and Bush combined at this point in their presidencies. Now, instead of the unity that was promised, Joe is literally acting unilaterally to enact every aspect of his radical socialist agenda, and he's doing it all with the stroke of a pen, and its consequences are severe. It's so bad, even the New York Times editorial board, ever so gently and ever so politely, encouraged Biden to ease up on the executive orders and at least try to acknowledge there are three branches of government. You're the executive branch, then we have this other branch, the legislative branch. 10 p.m. in our nation.
Sean Hannity pointing out the massive amount of executive orders. It's like Biden's not even trying. Who knows how much of this is Biden actually making decisions on his own. We know that he has some limitations in his abilities, mental abilities. All right. Here's an example. I should have started with this because this is the party right here. This is from TikTok. Don't know who this guy is. Jaybird7738 on TikTok. This over here says, the cheese has slid off this dude's cracker. It's 42 seconds long.
We expect these additional 200 million doses to be delivered this summer. And some of it will come begin to come in early summer, but by the midsummer that this vaccine will be there. And the order, and that increases the total vaccine order in the United States by 50%, from 400 million order to 600 million. This is enough vaccine to fully vaccinate 300 Americans by end of the summer, the beginning of the fall. But we want to I want to repeat, it'll be enough to fully vaccinate 300 Americans. We expect these.
Yeah, he said it. 300. Biden is going to vaccinate 300 people. We have 400 million doses ordered. Now we're going to have 600 million doses, and that's enough to vaccinate 300 people. How does he not catch that? He's That's our president. That is our president. Here's a guy speaking truth. This guy's from TikTok as well. Oh, this is a minute long.
Well, hello, America. So little Joe, he's at it again. He's going to sign another executive order. Imagine that. Turns out the White House announced yesterday that Joe Biden plans to sign an executive order rescinding the Mexico City policy. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Mexico City policy is, that is a policy that states that American taxpayers and our dollars will not go to fund or pay for abortions or abortion clinics in foreign countries. See, the majority of Americans don't feel that we should be paying for abortions or abortion clinics. The majority of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, feel that we shouldn't be paying for abortions or abortion clinics in foreign countries. But apparently Joe Biden seems to think that our money needs to go there and pay for those things. So he's rescinding that policy, and now our tax dollars are going to fund abortions in foreign countries. And that's the idiot y'all voted back in.
Yeah. Yep. What did Trump do? Trump looked at that and said, abortion bad. I'm not paying for abortion. Americans don't want to pay for abortions. How many people do I know who comment on my stuff on my other YouTube channel? What about Trump? What about Trump this? What about Trump that? What about Trump said this, or Trump talked about women this way? What was Trump's motive with all his biblical policies? Many of his policies were very in line with the Bible. Why would he do that? I think because he wanted to be popular with Americans. He knew this is what America wants. This is what the people want. People don't want to be aborting babies. People don't want to pay for the murder of children all around the world. It's bad enough it's happening in our own country. Biden looked at that, we were doing that, and he said, no more. No more. We're not gonna be paying for abortions all around the world. But at the same time, he said something nasty on Twitter, and the evangelical Christians were like, oh my, we can't vote for that guy. We can't vote for him. Vote your conscience. And people voted for Nice Joe. And now we're paying for the murder of babies all around the world. Rand Paul's like really, really smart guy. Many times it's like, he's our guy, man. He is speaking the truth. Here he is. This is long, so this is why I saved it for the end. He's going to make the case against impeaching Trump.
Permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Mr. President.
The senator from Kentucky.
This impeachment is nothing more than a partisan exercise designed to further divide the country. Democrats claim to want to unify the country, but impeaching a former president, a private citizen, is the antithesis of unity.
You can hear the noise in the room. You hear the noise in the room. It would be really hard to get used to that because most of the people in the room, most of them, if not all of them, are not listening to him. This is being put on C-SPAN and recorded in the books of history, his statement. But in the room at the time, people aren't even paying attention to him. That has got to take some time to, it has nothing to do with what he's talking about. I'm sure that happens on every topic but anyway, side note.
Democrats brazenly appointing a pro-impeachment Democrat to preside over the trial is not fair or impartial and hardly encourages any kind of unity in our country. No, unity is the opposite of this travesty we are about to witness. If we are about to try to impeach a president, where is the Chief Justice? If the accused is no longer president, where is the constitutional power to impeach him? Private citizens don't get impeached. Impeachment is for removal from office.
Duh.
And the accused here has already left office. Hyper-partisan Democrats are about to drag our great country down into the gutter of rancor and vitriol, the likes of which has never been seen in our nation's history. Instead of doing the nation's work with their new majorities in the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, Democrats are wasting the nation's time
and
on
money.
A partisan vendetta against a man no longer in office. It's almost as if they have no ability to exist except in opposition to Donald Trump.
You guys don't even know what to do. You guys don't know what to do unless you're attacking Trump. So like, this guy's right on.
Without him as their boogeyman, they might have to legislate and to actually convince Americans that their policy prescriptions are the right ones. Democrats are about to do something no self-respecting senator has ever stooped to. Democrats are insisting the election is actually not over, and so they insist on regurgitating the bitterness of the election. This acrimony they are about to unleash has never before been tried. Why? Because calmer heads have typically prevailed in our history and allowed public opinion to cast blame where blame is deserved. This sham of an impeachment will ostensibly ask whether the president incited the reprehensible behavior and violence of January 6th, when he said, "I know everyone here will soon march to the Capitol to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard."
Yeah.
Peacefully and patriotically, hardly words of violence.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? If I had time, I would go through that whole speech that Trump gave and pick out how many times and how many ways that he inferred that things be peaceful. I would love to do that if I had time. And then I would like to look at the clip that's being shared and share the context of what Trump said. Because the clip that's being shared, that they're saying, hey, look, he told them to go there and be violent. He told them to go there and fight. How edited is that? Because we know it's at least 3 different clips put together. Oh, if I just had time.
But what of Democrat words? What of Democrat incitement to violence? No Democrat will honestly ask whether Bernie Sanders incited the shooter that nearly killed Steve Scalise and volunteer coach. The shooter nearly pulled off a massacre. I was there because he fervently believed the false and inflammatory rhetoric spewed by Bernie and other Democrats, such as the Republican health care plan for the uninsured is that you die. As this avowed Bernie supporter shot Steve Scalise, nearly killing him, and shot one of our coaches and 2 or 3 of our staff, he screamed, "This is for health care." Ask me or anyone if that's incitement. No Democrat will ask whether Cory Booker incited violence when he called for his supporters to get up in their face of Congress people, a very visual and specific incitement. No Democrat will ask whether Maxine Waters incited violence when she literally told her supporters, and I quote, that if you see a member of the Trump administration at a restaurant, at a department store, at a gas station, or any place, you create a crowd and you push back on them. Is that not incitement?
The guy is right on. He's right on. I mean, I can see that video of that lady in a crowd speaking up with a megaphone, saying those words.
My wife and I were pushed and surrounded and screamed at by this same type of mob that Maxine likes to inspire. It's terrifying to have a swarm of people threatening to kill you, cursing at you, and literally holding you hostage until police come to your rescue. That night we were assaulted by the crowd. I wasn't sure if we'd survive even with the police protection. But no Democrat has ever considered impeaching Maxine for her violent rhetoric. In fact, Republicans, to our credit, have never once thought it legitimate to formally censor or impeach these Democrats. No Republican has sought to use the government to hold these Democrats responsible for Antifa and Black Lives Matter violence that has consumed.
Not only no Republican has, no member of the media has. 0. How long did it take for the media to jump on board? Not long. Man, they were right on it. Hey, man, this is so frustrating.
Consumed our cities all summer, resulting in over $1 billion of destruction, looting, and property damage. Not one Republican said, oh, let's impeach the Democrats who are inciting this.
OAC, Kamala Harris. Let the riots continue. They need to continue. Let those riots continue. I have a stupid question. When February shows up, are Are we going to remember the Black Lives Matter riots as part of Black History Month? And all the damage and destruction that they did. I heard, I don't know if it's true. If you're watching this right now and you know the answer, is it true that Black Lives Matter as an organization was just put up for receiving a Nobel Peace Prize? Is that true? Because I saw that on the internet and I was like, I don't know. I gotta fact check that one. That sounds kind of funky.
Because it would be ridiculous. Many on the Democrat side of the aisle cheered them on. Kamala Harris famously offered to pay the bill for those who were arrested. I wonder if she'll be brought up on charges of inciting violence for that now that she's vice president. Should Kamala Harris be impeached for offering to pay for violent people to get out of jail who've been burning our cities down?
Duh. Hello. So yeah, even as I was asking, talking about BLM being nominated for a Nobel, one of the live viewers commented, "Yes, that is true." They're ridiculous. Like, nothing means anything. We really shouldn't be surprised if men can say they're women and women can say they're men, and that's okay. And Trump can navigate and work through, I don't know, 3 or 4 major peace treaties in the Middle East and not be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. But Black Lives Matters, who was duped by the media into believing that there was a complete imbalance in the number of black people being shot by police when it's not even true. And then they go and burn and riot. That's peace? Sorry. Sorry.
No. And no Republican has offered that. Because we're not going down the road that Democrats have decided, this low road of impeaching people for political speech. Should Republicans impeach the Democrat mayor of Seattle, who incited and condoned violence by calling the armed takeover of part of her city a summer of love? Any Republicans try to impeach her? On June 8th, the New York...
Oh, man.
New York Post, citing U.S. Justice Department statistics, reported that more than...
Seriously, let's go listen to that again.
Who incited and condoned violence by calling the armed takeover of part of her city a summer of love. Any Republicans try to impeach her? On June 8th, the New York Post, citing U.S. Justice Department statistics, reported that more than 700 law enforcement officers were injured during the Antifa Black Lives Matter riots. There were at least 19 murders, including 77-year-old retired police officer David Dorn.
You know, he brings up those numbers, and it's so fascinating right now to watch the mainstream media and their great concern for police at the Capitol insurrection. I don't support the violence and the law breaking at the Capitol. It was bad. Bad people did bad things, and it shouldn't have happened. But the media blowing this whole thing into wild proportions, and all the sympathy for the police and all the heartfelt stories about the police. Where were the heartfelt stories and interviews with the police of Kenosha or Minnesota or San Francisco? Where were all the heartfelt stories about the policeman who didn't know if he'd make it home or not because of all the violence that was against him, and he was in the hospital and recovering and all these things? Where was the media's attention and sensitivity for police? I mean, it's bad. It's bad that like 2 police officers have died as a result of the Capitol. What happened there, bad things that happened there. That's super, super bad. Like there's no justifying it at all. None whatsoever. Going through the barriers and all that and going into the Capitol building, there's no way to defend that. Shouldn't have happened. But if you compare that to what happened with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, which arguments could be made that Antifa had something to do with what happened at the Capitol. It's impossible for these people to be consistent in any way. And for the most part, America is like, duh, yeah. And they agree. Oh, okay, fine. Whatever.
Yet Democrats insist on applying a test of incitement to a Republican that they refuse to apply to themselves. I want the Democrats to raise their hands if they have ever given a speech that says, take, back, fight for your country. Who hasn't used the words fight figuratively? And are we going to put every politician in jail? Are we going to impeach every politician who has used the words fight figuratively in a speech? Shame. Shame on these angry, unhinged partisans who are putting forth this sham impeachment, deranged by their hatred of the former president.
Yep.
Shame on those who seek blame and revenge and who choose to pervert a constitutional process while doing so. I want this body on record, every last person here. Is this how you think politics should be? Look, we've now got crazy partisans on the other side of the aisle trying to censor and remove 2 of the Republican senators for their political position. Now, look, I disagreed. I don't think Congress should overturn the Electoral College. But impeaching or censoring or expelling a member of Congress you disagree with? Is the truth so narrow that only you know the truth? We now have the media on your side saying there is only one set of facts, one set of truth, and you can only interpret it this way. Now we have 7 senators on the other side trying to expel, censor, or impugn 2 senators on this side.
You know, he just reminded me that I saw a really good interview that he did with George Stephanopoulos. And I'm frustrated that I don't have that clip ready for you right now. But Ron Paul was interviewed by George Stephanopoulos, and George Stephanopoulos was doing what all the mainstream media does is, hey, you, Rand Paul, you know, there's no evidence for this. This is totally false, so why are you for it? And Paul is like, why are you inserting yourself into this discussion? Why aren't you doing journalism? Why aren't you interviewing me about my position and interviewing somebody else next to me who disagrees with me? Why don't you do journalism? Why are you like taking a position? It was epic. It was great. And Stephanopoulos kept doing it over and over and over again. I mean, was pretty Ridiculous.
And I defend them, not because I defend their position. I disagreed with their position. But you can't impeach, censor, expel people you disagree with. What's this coming to?
Yeah.
In a few minutes, I will insist on a vote to affirm that this proceeding we are about to enter is unconstitutional, that impeachment of a private citizen is illegal and essentially a bill of attainder.
And because he did that, it was good that he did that, because it was kind of like okay, before we go through this whole procedure, how many of you guys even think that this procedure's legit? Right? How many of you think that this is legit? Because if you don't, and then he made people vote. I don't know how he did that. I don't know what the process is, but he got people to vote on whether the entire process at all was even legit. And it went to a vote, and like the number of people who don't think it's legit is so large that it's redundant to even go through the process. It's kind of stupid to even go through the process, because if you don't believe that it's legit, the process is legit, at the end, you're not going to vote to impeach the president or the former president.
And that no sense of fairness or due process would allow the judge in the proceeding to be a partisan Democrat already on favor of the impeachment. A sham, this is. A travesty. A dark blot on the history of our country. I urge my colleagues to reconsider this kangaroo court and move forward to debate the great issues of our day. With that, I'd like to relinquish the last moment or two of my time to Senator from Wisconsin.
Yay. Good job, Mr. Paul. Good job, Mr. Paul. That'll wrap up this episode of USA Political. Subscribe. Give the thumbs up. Comment. Let's have a discussion here. Let's make this comment thread something where people go to give comments what's going on. I'll keep posting on my Facebook, and then coming here and sharing the stuff here. And I like talking about politics. And you do too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Subscribe, share, thumbs up, yada, yada, yada. See you next time. Hopefully one day I'll have something consistent going on here where I'll be able to tell you when I'm going to be on. And I'm working on a co-host. A co-host. Somebody who you will really, really love.